She's a social activist, former tennis player, the first woman in India to join the officer ranks of the Indian Police Service (IPS). She also served as a Director General, Bureau of Police Research and Development, 24th Lieutenant General of Puducherry. Trust me, if I had to just talk about her achievements, titles, national and international awards that she won, I would be doing only that and have no time left to talk to my very esteemed guest today, who is none other than Dr. Kiran Bedi. Thank you so much for coming to our studio.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
It's an honor. We will be going down the memory lane with this towering personality who has, in 5 decades of her active service to the country, has seen several changes of hands in power and governments. And we will also be talking about her new book, Fearless Governance. Thank you so much once again, and it's an honor to have you in our studio. And my first question to you, Dr. Kiran Bedi. There are pages and pages on the internet about your professional life. I would love to know some chapters from your childhood, your family, your hobbies, your aspirations as a young girl.
Oh, just have to read the Wikipedia.
But your personal experiences, from your mouth.
Well, there's a biography also in my life called I Dare, which documents entirely the police career, and also has chapters which talk about my parents and my sister and my upbringing. So that will be really helpful because, and it's available on Kindle, so you don't have to wait to be in India to buy it.
Wow.
You can get it on Kindle, and you can, it's available on my websites as well. I actually do also put my soft copies on my website for people to download. The royalties of all my working goes to my 2 foundations, the India Vision Foundation and the Navjyoti India Foundation, which have been running. You said I was a social activist. I thought I'd share with you the working in the voluntary sector as a non-profit organization started with me in my life 35 years ago. And while I was serving in the Indian Police, I founded these foundations to educate actually the hapless people, the marginalized sections of society, children who were out of school. Today, many of them are teachers today and professionals.
Wow.
So as far as the policing career is concerned, it's been a long career. I joined the Indian Police Service in 1972 when I became the first woman in India to join so. It's not that there weren't many women who didn't want to join earlier, but except that the government of India shooed them away, saying it's not for women.
How did you convince them?
Well, I told them, you don't have a choice because I qualified and it was my first preference. They had to give it to me.
Of course.
But then I was determined to take it. They couldn't send me away. I was already an Asian tennis champion at that time.
Yes.
So they knew this champion is here who's not going to give up, will win. So I think that's what happened. I was called by the Union Home Minister to change my mind.
Oh.
Yeah, it was there. And I remember then Union Home Minister, Mr. K.C. Pant, he called me to New Delhi. I was already in training in Mussoorie Academy after joined the service. And he said, Kiran, let's understand what it means. I said, yes, I understand what it means. It can't be tougher than my tennis. So, but won't you train me, sir? Won't the National Police Academy train me? Yes, of course we will. So he says, okay, then go ahead, enjoy the lathi charges and dispersal of crowds and fighting terrorists and criminals. I said, I can do that. I was also an NCC cadet, 4 years running, very, very passionate cadet. I was already in uniform AC as a cadet.
Wow.
So I enjoyed my uniform. For me, life has been so many uniforms. A tennis uniform, which is tennis kit. Then sports kit, which is this. And then came the NCC kit, NCC uniform. And then came the IPS. So I think it's been a life of uniform.
So what was the feeling when you wore the khaki for the first time?
As I told you, I grew up in khaki. My graduation years were all in khaki. It was NCC uniform is khaki.
The police uniform.
Oh, that was trained for it. I was fitting into it very well. See, the sports background, the NCC background is preparing you already for the Indian Police Service. I fitted in like a T.
Wow. So, coming back to your childhood, as I have one question, did you have a lot of friends growing up? What was college life back then? Who were the political leaders or social activists at that time that motivated you?
Look, as far as motivation is concerned, it was self-motivation. It was upbringing by the parents, because my father too was a tennis player, and the family was very education oriented. So what mattered to us at home was sports and education. And I was probably the only girl at that time in Amritsar doing all this. Only girl. And then I'm an Amritsar born. I went to Sacred Heart School in Amritsar, and then graduated from Government College for Women in Amritsar, and then went on to do my masters from Punjab University, Chandigarh. I was a topper in my studies, and I was also national junior tennis champion at that time. So two things went parallel with me, and I think at that time it was rare, probably first of its kind, where I earned 2 scholarships, academic and sports.
Very
So
nice.
that time there were no other distractions. So I was very focused on education and sports.
And you chose to get into police service.
Yes, I chose the Indian Police Service as my first preference in the Union Public Service Commission examination.
Very nice. So you would say you didn't really have a role model back then?
There wasn't a person as a role model, but patriotism was very strong. I was quite close to the freedom fighters.
Oh, you
So, the stalwarts of the time were all around. That had a very good effect on me. Patriotic effect, nationalist effect, love for the service. So it was so close to the 1947. So I think that had an impact.
How were you treated by male police officers when you joined? Did anyone dare to bully you?
They looked up to me.
Wow.
I was the champion, not they.
Yes, of course. So have things changed for women and police now, especially at lower ranks?
Substantially. There was hardly any recruitment of women in the forces. Now it's almost like hopefully make it to 30%.
Wow.
So there's a special drive sometimes to recruit women, and that's what's expected. At least 1/3 of the force be women. And we're getting very good quality women, graduates, masters, computer specialists, engineers. Some of them have got very good backgrounds and who are joining the sports persons, joining the ranks of the officer ranks. Some of them have gone to the IPS again and they become best cadets.
Wow.
In fact, they beat the boys. They became better than the boys. The best cadet awards in a National Police Academy going to women. It's repeatedly happening now in India.
Wow, that's wonderful. You earned the nickname Kiran Bedi after you bagged a sub-inspector who towed away a VIP's car, which happened to be Prime Minister Indira Gandhi's car. Did you earn Mrs. Gandhi's respect or anger at that point? You were both the first. She was the first woman Prime Minister and you were the first woman IPS officer. How was your relationship with her?
It was very cordial, very respectful, so a lot of mutual admiration. I had some very, very good feelings for her, and she also had very good special feelings. She invited me for breakfast.
How lovely.
And whenever VIPs came from outside, she would specially extend an invitation to me to say, here's our first woman of the Indian Police Service. Present, then look his way, look, we are this far. We're not just politically, but we're also professionally. So I attended quite a few. She had a very, very caring role for me. She had a very good feeling. We used to, anyway, I did a while with her security also. So therefore I was quite close watching her speak and I doing my duties, she would walk by. So we would greet each other on a regular basis.
How sweet. So many films and TV shows try to emulate you when they wanted to portray a disciplined yet ruthless woman police officer. As a kid, I remember watching one such show on Doordarshan called Udan. How flattered would all this make you? And most importantly, did anyone get it right? Or there are layers to Dr. Kiran Bedi that none of them could reach?
No, programs that Doordarshan showed, Udan and many other interviews, I think had a very positive impact on women empowerment in India. It inspired a whole generation of women to make it to the police services, which was very good. Doordarshan at that time, when I was growing up, the only channel, and the programs it showed, everybody watched it.
Yes, I remember that show very clearly, very
everybody,
vividly. It was
everybody
beautiful.
watched it.
Yes.
And it was a very good show. It was also very well made. So it inspired very large generation of women.
Yes.
Which is very, and also informed them what policing meant, police training meant.
You brought about several reforms at Tihar jail, from providing classroom studies, vocational training, prayer and meditation, introducing music, opening up bank accounts for the inmates, and so much more. What was the turning point that made you do something for the children of inmates?
When I saw women, the mothers having children with them, and the children only knowing the provisions of law. 4-year-old talking about 302.
Oh my God.
Dafa 302.
Oh my God.
Dafa, so many of dafa. Kacheri and dafa, that's all the language they knew. And when I walked into the prison as an Inspector General Prisons, that was one of my postings, I saw these children with their mothers, because Indian prisons allows a child up to the age of 6 to stay with the mother, if the mother so wants. And if she doesn't have anybody reliable at home, she brings the child along. So when I saw them inside and I visited the prison, I found these children just loitering around amongst those women and becoming part of the adult society. No schooling, nothing. So that's when I started a playway school for them, so that they can be separated from the mothers during the day hours, and they could go to a school within the premises. We managed to, so we started a playway school in 1993.
Wow.
And it's still running today, 2022. And it is those children whom we then, when they were to leave after age of 6, the India Vision Foundation takes their causes up, educates them, skills them, and makes them self-reliant. Those are the children started in 1993. Today is 2022. Many of those children who were taken from playway school and educated them are self-reliant. And it is this work which became a national program through the Supreme Court judgments, that when such a program can exist in Delhi prison, why can't it exist in other prisons around the country? So it became a flagship program. But then after I left the prison, I founded a foundation called the India Vision Foundation, which my friend Pam Quatra and Eric, two of them really becoming a larger group of friends, who have then started to support us in a big way. That's what they're doing now in New York, in an event going to be held on 1st September, when they are using the introduction of this book and proceeds of this book to go to causes for many people to adopt such children, educate them, upskill them through the India Vision Foundation. And I believe Pam Quatra and Eric are receiving abundance of support in this cause. They've been with me for a long time, but unfortunately we had a breakthrough because of the COVID. And last 5 years I was very much committed to working in Pondicherry, as you know. I was working as Lieutenant Governor Pondicherry. So it's been a gap of about few years. But meanwhile, they kept managing, they kept struggling to somehow do something. But this time, I think it's been a massive effort, both by this group called G30. They're a group of 30 friends who came together. So Pam and Eric lead this to support the children of such prisoners. So we've come a long way, reached out to hundreds and hundreds of them. If you're keen, you can attend the function, or maybe, hopefully, television can cover it.
Of course,
so that in case those who miss it can see the program. Because these children are saved. You know, the real issue was, not only did I see the children speaking the language of adults, children who were left behind got lost. They got lost. And those days, there was a lot of human organ theft.
Oh my God.
So children were stolen for human trafficking, for organ theft. So we not only worked with children inside the prison, we also responded to these mothers whose children had been left behind, to see that their children can come and be with them. So this is what happened. This is what is the human magnitude, the sensitivity of this whole program. It's done very well. It's now one of the most unique programs in prison reforms in India today, working with children.
And you have branches all over India running this
I work with
flagship.
northern Indian prisons like Haryana prison, the UP prison, the Punjab prison, the Madhya Pradesh prison. So we work with more than 40 prisons in the northern region to work with these children and mothers. But we do other programs, but since we are focusing on the children, that's what the focus is. It's called Save the Next Victim.
Save the next victim, of course. How supportive was the bureaucracy of your ideas? What challenges and roadblocks did you face to achieve your goals?
Well, bureaucracy had nothing against it. After all, it also came through a very recognized work called the Ramon Magsaysay Award, which is equivalent to Asian Nobel Peace Prize. Actually, this work has been recognized as an award of a Nobel Prize. So I think it was as a matter of pride for the system as a whole. They supported it in their way, but I wasn't depending on them. I was raising my own resources and it was working.
So that's the thing. You were always taking the lead, taking the charge. You were not, dependent on anyone. Whatever you made up your mind, you just went ahead and did it.
And people supported it. They trusted the function. Main thing is the trust. Once people trust your effort, the resources come overflowing. That's exactly what's happening in the New York event already when Pam and Eric are working together. It's trusted. They know that every bit of their support will go for a cause. So I think that's how you generate great resources.
So what was so compelling about BJP that changed your own political philosophy and you joined the party?
It was a very interesting development. As you know, I had been participant in major India Against Corruption movement. And that actually changed the course of governance or political equations in India. Once the movement was over, I went back to my own work. But meanwhile, a breakaway group formed a political party. Right? That was not the objective of my joining the movement with Anna Hazare. I joined it to fight against and raise a voice against corruption. So I went back. Thereafter, the assembly elections came. And there was a request from the group at that time saying, we need to counter the certain issues of hostility. Would you like to stake and sacrifice yourself for Delhi because you're a Delhiite? See, it was like an emotional blackmail, literally. Emotional playing on me, saying, you're a Delhiite, why don't you serve Delhi now in another form? But I said, I'm not political. I don't know much of electoral politics. And nor do I have any money for elections. And nor do I have any orientation. Then I was told that you just stand for the elections. We will fund this. And you handle administration. We'll handle the political. That was the assurance. That once you can work together, we will take care of what it means to fight an election. You just be there as a candidate.
But in hindsight, why do you think you lost those elections?
Well, elections can be won and lost. That's okay. The equations are different. There's a lot of things which play the role, which I realized I'm not fit for electoral politics. That's not my game. You have to be a professional at such games. I'm good at administration. I'm not mentally oriented for electoral politics because I make no false promises. Somebody would come up to say, बिजली फ्री कर दोगे? That's it. हर चीज फ्री थोड़ी होती है. आपको अपना खर्चा तो करना पड़ेगा ना. Somebody is announcing बिजली free, and I'm saying, कहाँ से free? किसके पास है पैसा? So I was matter of fact. Why would people vote for me if I'm matter of fact? कोई कहेगा ये भी फ्री. ऐसे नहीं, फ्री तो कुछ नहीं होता. किसी की तो जेब कटती है. Somebody is paying for it. So I think there are many other factors which play a role in electoral politics. I responded to a call as a Delhiite that can I be of any help? I'm not seeking power. For me, that's not. I had enough power. Worked in very powerful positions which I loved. as administration, where you have the legal power and you're not dependent on anybody's votes to be there. You are there appointed and you're there for a tenure and you serve. But that's it. So, but moment that was over, I went back to administration. That's how later on I became the governor, lieutenant governor in Puducherry. It was administration. But yes, that little portion was a lifetime experience.
So if you had a choice, would you do anything differently than how you did in your life? Any regrets, any unfulfilled dreams?
Well, life is not over yet. Life is still ticking.
Of course.
Life goes on. And you respond to challenges and opportunities which come your way. And you optimize the opportunities. Like this is an opportunity. United Nations invitation came to come and be here today and be a part of the United Nations Conference of Chiefs of Police. That's where I've come for. But came along the book and this event and fundraising for Children of India Vision Foundation. See, these are optimizing opportunities.
Of course.
So, and to be with family. So it became a 3-in-1 trip. But United Nations invitation to be here today, this Conference of Chiefs of Police, was a great destiny.
Yes. What changes do you want to see from the ruling governing party to make the lives of 60% Indians at the bottom better?
Well, if you project rightly, they are making changes on an everyday basis. Every day it's a change, where today every common man has a bank account. The poorest have a gas connection. Many areas are now getting drinking water. Schooling is essential, is a mandatory. So it's every day. If you project the Indian news here, then there's a lots which has changed and lot to be changed. You see, Har Ghar Tiranga was a great movement.
Yes.
But the first time people held the flag everywhere. Earlier it was if you have it, it's an issue. No, liberalized it. Every Har Ghar Tiranga. I think the love for the national flag has returned.
Okay. Yes, indeed it has. So, any words on fearless governance? I would love to read it, but give me a little gist about this book.
It's all 5 years of governance and administration of Puducherry. But it was released by Indira Nui.
Oh.
And Indira Nui said that the concept of leadership which have been given here cut across private and government sectors. I've given the challenges of governance and what is it you can do to make it easy and succeed. So it has those nuggets. It is storytelling through the incidents and challenges I've faced and how I surmounted them and what is it that you do to succeed as a leader.
Beautiful. So thank you so much for this interview. You're truly an inspiration.
Thank you so much for inviting me.